Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to my sewing channel, Bluegrass Streams to Seams. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for all those who subscribe and hang in there with me as I go through this journey of video making. It's really different, that's for sure. All right, so that's coming first week of July, hopefully. So these two blouses by this pattern will be in that video. All right, I'm not going to talk about those. Just cut out the lawn one yesterday, but I want to use it for educational type purposes because I think that yoke and the fact that you have facings that go on the yoke and then you've got to sew the body to all this after you've joined facing to yoke, then the body gets sewn on. I think for clarity, it would be nice. It's a really cool construction technique, but I do think you could do some other things. It would just mean you'd have a raw edge. There's some things you could do to rectify that, to keep that from being there. But we're going to talk about all those in that video. So I have some ideas of things you could do. All right, I will also show you what I did to keep from putting top stitching through my Swiss embroidery laces. I did not want to do that. You probably already know, but I'll just verify it for you. This dress, let's talk about fit. This is my toile from this So Different pattern. It's called the Essential Denim Dress. I bought it in Europe when I was in England, and it does have a pocket, although you can't see it. It's right here. I doubt that'll show up. I do have a pocket on one side. My toile, believe it or not, turned out better than the actual garment. I wanted to make it in denim. I had all this in stash. This was left over from Hobby Lobby, something I had bought, and I ended up not using it for that, so I cut this instead and just sort of had fun with it because this is just a toile. I'm not going to worry about it. It actually fits me better in the linen version than it does in the denim version, and I cut them exactly the same. But do you ever run into that? This is linen. It's a woven. Denim is a woven, but it's a cotton. I keep running into problems when I make toiles out of cotton, and they don't act the same when I make it out of linen. And that case point, I ran to again, and I should have known better. One toile was cut out of leftover linen, but I can only use it twice. The first time was way oversized. I totally misjudged what I needed. So I cut it, the actual pattern piece, by size 18. Of course, that was 4 or 5 inches too small. So then I didn't have any option but to cut it out of cotton. And cotton is a tighter weave than linen. I think that's where it comes in. I really do. So my cotton piece, I allowed an inch on the center front, and the center back, I just added it in on where the seams would come together, but you put it in a back zipper. I just added it there. And on the side fronts, I actually cut them in the middle and added the inch in there. So you've got 3 inches in the front, 3 inches back. That gave me 6 inches. I had a 1 inch ease, give or take, you know. I thought that'll be enough. I'll be fine. The original pattern called for 5 inches of ease. I looked at it. It had the finished measurements, and it had for waist measurement on there. And it's 5 inches. I thought, well, I'll still be okay. I'll be fine. It's a gathered skirt on there. I'm not worried about it. I zipped up the zipper, and the whole thing fell to the floor. It's way too big. If I had made it buy the pattern, I don't think that it would have fit me. I really don't, because I made a toile from linen and it was too small. But maybe adding an inch was too much to get what I needed. I don't know. Do you have this problem fitting a waistband? Because I can't figure out what to do. Even an elastic waistband, I can't get it right. And I don't know what to do because I never had this issue when I was a beginning sewist. I could cut a pattern out, it fit me. I can't do that. And I don't know what to do. I've tried having people show me. I run into the same issue. It never fits. We'll get one to fit, but when I go to put the garment together, it never fits. And it's very frustrating. So if you have that problem and you have a really good idea of something I could do, I am open for suggestions because I'm tired of trying to figure this out. I've watched videos, I've put into action what they did, and it doesn't work. Not for me anyway. I don't know. I think maybe you've got to come up with your own thing to get it to work for your body. I know mine, I've lost a little bit more weight. That could be it, but I don't see how losing a couple of pounds in 1 week is going to affect that waistband that much. That I would have a toile that fit, even though it was cotton, and then you make the garment and it falls off of you. I don't see that. I don't understand that. So I'm open for suggestions. Let me know what you think. I have been organizing. After my company left, I organized fabric scraps. I didn't need to keep all the little bits and pieces. I needed to donate them. I had a jelly roll left over from my Christmas jacket. I needed to get rid of that. I have, they're not called charm packs when they're the bigger squares, but they're called something else. I had things like that, and I had all kinds of cottons and rayons. You know, they really don't stretch that much. Little pieces. Leftover bits of lawn that were small. I'm not going to do anything with them, but a quilter will. Um, I have a family member that quilts, and her grandmother-in-law is my husband's first cousin. And I've met her a couple of times too. We get along really well because we have sewing in common, even though hers is quilting, mine's garment. We love talking about it. Oh, we just thrive talking about sewing. So I reached out to her and asked her if she would take these bits and pieces, and she's excited, very, very excited. So we're going to show you a little video of organization and talk a little bit about that, fabric storage, and keeping it kind of neat, kind of organized by fabric type or something. Give it a title, like you'll see what I mean when you get over there. So here's that video. Hey everybody, it is a different day. I started filming and then the people showed up to do my roof. And so I had to wait until they all left. They left this morning. So it is June 30th and I promised you a video today. So I'm going to get that done. What I wanted to do was talk to you about what do we do with things that just don't quite fit us correctly. Sometimes it's an easy fix, a little tweaking here and there, and you're happy with it and you go ahead and wear it. And that's sometimes my case. But sometimes my case is it needs more than just a tweaking. Sometimes it just needs to be cut into something new, which I've done. But I've got a stack of things that need to be addressed. And I'm like, okay, let's do a video about what do we do with things that we don't find satisfactory and we just throw it in a pile, which was what I was doing. I was throwing in a pile this basket. And I thought, it's got to stop. I've got to stop and take one item or two every couple of weeks. Just take something and remake it. So hopefully you'll see it later in another video. And I'll say, look, I got it finished. So I'm going to start with one of them. And it's going to be the style arc pattern here. Of all the style arc patterns I have sewn, This is probably one of my favorite. I love this dress. The problem is I feel like the dress is too big. Now it's got the grown on sleeves, but here's my shoulders. So I'm going to hold this where my shoulders are. And you can see that there's quite a bit of fullness that this dress created. And I just think that if I cut it down a size or two, I might actually be happier with it. I do think it has a lot of ease in it. It seems like to me, I remember people saying there is a lot of ease in it to cut a smaller size. Then I made a dress by Sandra Bezzini. I think I made 3 of her patterns, and all 3 I wasn't really happy with. This was a little bit happy, but still thought it looked really boxy when I got it finished. And I said, I wore it, um, but never was 100% happy with it. So finally, it just ended up hanging in one area of my closet, and I never reached for it. I would look at it, and I would just say, no, I'm not feeling it today. So I've decided this is one of those things that I don't like the dress enough to try to salvage the dress. So I'm going to cut it into something else. And that something else is um, the Fault Lines vest by Diane Erickson. I made the jacket. I need something to go with that jacket, and this color would be really, really good with that. So I don't think I'll use any of the printed linen, but I will keep it and try to get as much of the vest out of this as I can. I think I'll be fine. There's plenty of that deep reddish pink here, and so this will become something new. Well, this is a style shirt because I looked back at my notes. I keep a notebook, and it said it was style 2051, and I cut a size 16. Well, it's European linen. I really don't want to cut it apart and make a new shirt, but I was hoping to have the pattern. I don't have it. I can't find it anywhere. I don't know where I stuck it. I might have given it away, which is really bad right now. But I think all I really want to do is take this sleeve off and try to narrow this down and put the sleeve back on. I think that's really all that's bugging me about this shirt, and then I would probably wear it. I feel like the sleeves are just, I don't know. I just feel like I'm wearing a sack over my head. So, so I like the length of it. I made it to go with a pair of white linen pants, which I also made. The latest kerfuffle was this pattern here. It's a designer pattern, cutting edge, and I knew the waistband would probably be an issue, um, but I went ahead and tried to do some math and figure out how much increase I needed, and I figured way too much. I figured better to go way too much. I can always recut it a smaller size. Well, it was so much, I decided let's just cut the pattern as is. Size 18, cut it, did that, and it was 5 inches too small. I thought, well, okay, I need to make up 5 inches somehow. So I went about trying to do that, and I again figured too much. So I made this skirt waistband technically 4 times if you count the one that's on the skirt. 3 times just getting one that I thought, that's it, go with it. And I have those all here, all my samples that I made, except this one here was recut. This is the one that's actually a size 18, and it was 5 inches too short. But the first time I made this, it was way too big. One of these I think is the lining for this. I'll have to see which one it is, but I know that one of them was made as a sample to see if I was right, and it fit perfectly. I can't figure out where I went wrong here. When I put the skirt on and I zipped the back and I let go, it fell to the floor. I'm like, okay, it's still too big when it should have fit, because the waistband that I made, my sample, fit. So then somebody said, well, maybe your fabric stretched. And I said, it is linen. Now, it is a looser weave, which could be the problem because there's the cotton I used, and you can tell this is a different weave. So maybe that's it. I don't know. I interfaced the pieces as soon as I cut them out so that I would make sure I didn't stretch them because that kind of locks all that in because I was worried about it stretching. But regardless, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to cut it down, and I think I'm going to allow for 3/4 of an inch on each pattern piece. That way I'll lose quite a bit there, and hopefully when I put it on it'll be a win. If not, I have a piece of this fabric left over that I can piece together to make an elastic casing waistband, and that's what will be happening to the skirt. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I love the belt. It wraps around you and ties the front. I really wanted this. But if I can't have that, then I'll just go buy me a belt. And if it ends up being elastic casing, I will go buy a belt that'll be pretty. I have the blouse almost finished that I want to wear with this. So, it's pretty exhausting and really difficult to swallow when you think, I know a lot about sewing. You know how to put a garment together. You just don't know how to size a garment in every single area. I'm going to leave you with video of when I was redoing my containers across the hall for my scrappy fabrics. And then I'm going to leave you final with, we had a monsoon here. Our yard was flooding, and the neighbor's black lab was having the best time in all that water. Happy sewing, everybody. This is my other room, and I'm going to kind of sit down here so that you don't have to look at the mess that's on top of these 3 bookcases. These are just Michael's 6-unit bookcases. These blue ones were bought at Michael's. They hold a lot of my yarn stash in those. These are what I bought. I thought they went really well together. Ordered these. They were 6 for so much money. So I spent about $50 buying these containers. They were actually cheaper to buy them that way. And you can kind of see this one's got fabric in it. So they don't all have fabric in it, not yet anyway. That one's got fabric, but some are more full than others because I've gone through them. But we're just going to pull out this one. So I pulled this one out. You can see that there's a good bit of this lawn left, plus a shirt that I pulled because it just doesn't hang right. And you see one of these rayon batiks, and believe it or not, that's another one. So these are things like linens, lawns, fancy, anything I say that's nice fabric. This piece here is a remnant piece from something that I did, but it's a rayon. I love it. There's enough there to do something. And, going down and you just see different types of fabrics like that. So I kind of call this my fancy fabric. I spent some time going through all this and deciding what to keep and what to get rid of. My relative, she is actually married to the grandson of my husband's cousin. She's going to get this box here. All this, some Halloween or fall, just different things that I thought I'll just stick them in there. And of course, one side's going to have more of the, there's some K facet. Just, I'm not ever going to use it. And I wanted to give it to somebody that I knew would love to get this. So I have kind of pressed some of that was really, really wrinkled. Some of the more recents that I just cut this lawn. These are smaller pieces. I gave those to her. These are bits of linen. Hey there, pup. You come over to check things out?